Hey guys, what is up? And today we are back with another week of Broadway grosses and some big news that I think is going to completely shake up the 2023-2024 Broadway season. So let's get into it. Up first, we have Juliet, and that went from 91.46 to 99.91, and 1,013,517 last week to this week's 1,174,596. A Beautiful Noise, which is closing in June, it's continuing to do really horrible, going from 53% to 55%, and 646K to 605K. Back to the Future, the musical, which has had a couple of weeks in the past couple months. See what I did there? No? Okay. Going from 87% to 95%, and 975K to 1,223,626. Days of Wine and Roses, which is closing, unfortunately, did 56% last week and 62% this week, going from 363K to 375K. Hadestown, which has had a surge in ticket sales because of stunt casting, went from 101.36 to 101.42, and 1,107,953 last week to this week's 1,185,096. With the highest top ticket in years at 599. And again, it'll be interesting to see how Hadestown does without, I think her name was Lola Talong or something. I mean, she has a very sizable following, and it looks like her presence is what made Hadestown do so well, as recently it wasn't doing so great. And we've been through this discussion many times. I thought Hadestown was going to close. It didn't. I still think it can close at the end of this year, because once you get into stunt casting, you start to realize that the show is relying on that. It's losing steam, and Hadestown is losing steam. And I predict that without stunt casting, it would be doing a lot worse. Hamilton went from 100% to 100%, and 1,760,337 to 2,004,814. Akimbo did 83% last week and 94% this week, going from 512K to 582K. Merrily did 100%, going from 1,562,436 to 1,623,816. Mulan Rouge did 98% last week and 100% this week, going from 1,304,017 to 1,427,838. 6 went from 945K to 969K, and 98% to 99%. Spamalot, which has announced it is closing early, went from 68% to 82%, and 672K to 862K, so hopefully they'll end on a very high note. Sweeney is, again, really surprising me, because I knew Aaron and Son, they were big stars, but I didn't think they were this big. So Sweeney, last week did 95%, and this week did 98%, going from 1,312,390 to 1,410,644. And then The Notebook, which got very mixed reviews and was supposed to be the top contender for Best Musical, but now that looks like that isn't happening, played to 98% capacity and 767K compared to last week's 769K for 8 performances, which is solid. Again, The Notebook, is doing decently at the box office, and again, having a 7 in front of it is exactly where it needs to be. It's not failing at the box office, but after it started off with a momentous 1 million, and then it fell to the 700s, it was a bit of a most shows that have this momentum don't go that down, or don't decrease that much. And now with the mixed reviews, will The Notebook survive? I think it personally will. I think that the audiences love it, and I think this is a critic-proof show, so I don't think we have to worry about it. But maybe. The Outsiders, with 1 performance, sold out and did 149K, so not much to say about that. And then we had The Who's Tommy, which performed to 89% compared to last week's 100%, and 345K last week to this week's 891K, an astoundingly amazing first week of previews. And then Water for Elephants is improving going from 92% to 93%, and 723K to 898K, and I know their break-even point, or how much money they need to make a week, is somewhere in the 9s, so they are catching up, and they are doing better, and for a show like Water for Elephants, the average ticket is still only $86, and you want to see that be past 100, but producers are like, well, at least it's, you know, it's slowly building momentum, and it's not doing as horrible as it could be. However, I think this will get negative reviews, and I think this will end up closing and doing business similar to New York, New York. And again, I have not seen it. I'm not planning on seeing it. The hit off-Broadway musical inspired by the Illinois album, or it basically is the Illinois album, is coming to Broadway at the St. James 2 days before the Tony cutoff date. And guys, I have not done my review for this show. I still have to do that and Spam-A-Lot. They're all coming. But this show is amazing. Just to give you a little spoiler, one of the best things I've seen, transformative, it's the Dune 2 of this theater season. It's breathtaking, magnum opus, masterpiece. You have to see it for yourself. It is amazing. Truly, like the best thing I've seen live in years. And this is unprecedented. This normally doesn't happen. This is the most crowded Broadway season thus far. A lot of shows, but not a competitive season. That's the big distinction. Is a lot of shows, but there's not a lot of competitive shows. Like the Year of Dear Evan Hansen, Come From Away, Groundhog Day, Great Comet. That's competitive and very big. Lots of shows. This year you have like The Outsiders, Hell's Kitchen, Great Gatsby, Suffs, Water for Elephants, right? A lot of shows, but getting not so great reviews from audiences and critics, and not a clear front runner for Best Musical. And guys, I'm gonna say this now: it's winning Best Musical. Book it. And then it's winning Best Choreography. Those are 2 in the bag, and it could win Best Direction. I don't know. Either way, it's going to win a lot of awards, and it is pulling major upsets from Lempicka, which I think would have won Best Musical, because they don't give it to a closed musical, which would have been Days of Wine and Roses, and that would have won had it stayed until the Tonys. And I think Illinois is going to pull a huge upset, and they are having limited engagement until August, but I feel like they could extend, but it is smart, because while Illinois is a lot more palatable and mainstream than Akimbo and A Strange Loop, it still is a little bit avant-garde. It's still a little bit of a strange premise, especially if you don't know the album, although a lot of people know the album, so I think that does help it considerably and give it a big boost than the other shows, because it is not a original piece technically, but it definitely is a lot more, you know, I mean, it is mainstream, but it is definitely not as mainstream as, like, I don't know, Mulan Rouge, the musical, you know? So it is smart for the producers, because the Best Musical win and the shows that win Best Musical have not done financially well, and this is a good way of them seeing, like, okay, if it makes, because here's the thing, if it makes $1 million, if it does really well, they're gonna extend it. I think they could go to the Lunt. But if they're, like, you know, doing 5s and 6s and 7s, we'll close it now. It's a brilliant move, and maybe this is the future of Best Musicals. I don't love this. I don't love it. I hope this can run for years and years. I think it can, but it needs the right marketing, and so far the new poster has shown that. But again, I remember trying to describe this to my family members, and I was having a bit of a hard time. So again, the Broadway landscape, it's so competitive, it's so oversaturated, I just don't know what's going to succeed and what's going to fail. I think it could succeed, but then again, I thought Akimbo was going to succeed, and Illinois is my kind of show, and do audiences want to see a dance show with no dialogue? Will they get intrigued to the music? Will it work? I don't know. It's just so unknown. But I think it will, but it might not, but we'll see. But that's the video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.